Sasaki and Peeps episode 10. And if there's one thing that this episode showed us is that Sasaki is actually a really smart person. We already knew, or we already had hints that yeah, he was a smart person. I mean, he was a good salaryman before this, before he got, I guess you can say, transported to this isekai world. But we didn't actually know how smart he was. Yeah, like I said already, we knew he was, really smart, but how smart was he? And this episode was all about that, because this episode was about demonstrating to us how, I guess you can say, intelligent, how Sasaki handles himself around problems, how he resolves things. This episode showed us different aspects, I guess you can say, of Sasaki's character, because yeah, in this episode he had multiple challenges, and all those challenges he very well solved them. So I guess that is one way you can describe this episode as an episode trying to show us how smart he is and how potentially even smarter he can get, because I bet you that he's even more smart than he showed in this episode. So yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if there was another demonstration of him being smarter later on. But yeah, that was actually really nice to see. And I was speculating in the last episode what was Sasaki's plan, because the last episode was all about that. Because if we remember, the last episode was about being a little bit, I guess you can say, devious, or not necessarily devious, but being a little bit purposely obscure, because they didn't want to show us what was Sasaki planning. The anime was, trying to hide it. He wasn't actually trying to show us what he was trying to do. We got hints here and there. For example, when he was talking to Shizuka Futari, when he was trying to gather resources. I mean, yeah, we got hints here and there, but we didn't actually know. I mean, you can only speculate so much with so little information. And yeah, I mean, I made some speculations in the last episode, some theories, but at the end of the day, I wasn't actually sure what he was going to do. And in this episode, I guess you can say we got shown that, because yeah, everything got resolved here in this episode. And as we saw, it wasn't actually a single plan. I was saying in the last episode that he mentioned that it was going to be a simple plan, that it was not going to be anything complicated, but I actually didn't stop and consider that that could have actually been another way the episode was trying to fool us, that was another way the episode was trying to deviate the attention. I thought that he was being, actually truthful, or maybe he actually thought he was being truthful, maybe he was just being humble. But as we saw in this episode, the plan was anything but simple. I mean, the plan that he had cannot even be called a plan, because it actually involved multiple plans, or I guess you can say backup plans, because there was a main plan which involved the Prince Adonis, basically involving him trying to resolve the problem, because as we all know, he's a prince and he's up in the, I guess you can say, pyramid of importance. That was his first plan, and if that failed, Sasaki thought that maybe it wouldn't fail completely, but the Count Dietrich would have maybe put another condition for the release of Marc. And yeah, that was his second plan, gathering the resources, because he thought if the Count gave other conditions, it would have involved money, so he did that. And I guess you can say the third plan was basically relying on the guy, what was his name, Kepler, Joseph Kepler. Yeah, basically relying on him, doing some shady, or not necessarily shady, but doing some business behind the scenes, trying to force Count Dietrich's hand. And even at the end of the episode, he sort of alluded to having a fourth plan, and even though he didn't say what that fourth plan was, we can make a guess that it will probably be basically using force, using Peeps to basically force his hand. I would guess that is what he had in plan if everything failed, the three plans. But yeah, like I said, even though he didn't mention that, it is almost implied that that was the case. So yeah, and one of the main reasons why all of this worked out at the end of the day, it is because Count Dietrich is actually a good man. He's actually, a respectful man. I don't know how to exactly explain it, but he's actually a man that has values. I guess you can say that. I mean, I guess you can say also that he was, having a man, being used as a pawn, but at the same time, he was also being fooled by Herman. So how much can you blame him? I mean, yeah, he definitely has some faults, but also in this episode, he shows some humanity. He showed his human part of being a, I guess you can say, resident of the kingdom of Earth. Yeah, I guess you can say one of the reasons why all of this worked out is because at the end of the day, Count Dietrich was a man that could be negotiated with, because if he was another man, if he was a very stubborn man, then maybe all of this could have not worked out. But fortunately enough for Sasaki, that was not the case. Count Dietrich was actually very understandable at the end of the day. So I mean, yeah, that is another huge reason why all of this worked out. And yeah, at the end of the episode, we saw how Marc got released. He actually is going to have a new store in the new kingdom of Kepler. So yeah, to be honest, I don't even know if it's a kingdom, but I guess you can say the country of Kepler. But yeah, that was basically everything that happened in the episode. As we saw, there was an episode where there wasn't any sort of action whatsoever. It was an episode all about doing business. It was an episode all about showing us how smart Sasaki Sasaki is. So yeah, even though it is nothing like the past episode, it is still very enjoyable. It is another aspect of the anime. So yeah, I very much enjoyed it. And if you don't want to miss any episode reviews, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that will be everything by me. And I guess I'll see you all in the next episode review.